Good evening, all. Welcome to YPS Meet Live Season 2, Episode 8. I am Hardik, one of the directors of YPS, and today we have with us one of the senior members, Dr. Ajit Huelgol, as a co host. Hello, Ajit sir, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. Perfect. So, today's presentation, it's all about aerial and ground level photography. We're gonna have some amazing perspectives to be looking forward. A presentation by Mr. Gurcharan Roopra, a fine art wildlife photographer from Nairobi, Kenya. Before we come to today's presentation, here is one of the important announcements. So, as you all know, that we are a 50-year young society. This is our 50th year Golden Jubilee year, and if, as you all remember, that last week we had a curtain raiser of the Golden Jubilee celebrations called YPS Nenapugadu, where we had an interesting talk with senior members where we had some really interesting stuff like how the YPS started. For example, the two things what I can remember is the club was started without a camera. Now that was the enthusiasm of us of our members, and we are really grateful for them that they have taken it till here, and we are all enjoying this society. And another thing was when Mr. Hebar mentioned that he used to upside his helmet and collect the money. Then that money was used to send postcards about the upcoming events. This is how the society. I mean, in those days it was running, and today we are all here with the internet. We create posts, we create Facebook events, we create posts on Instagram, and yeah, from where to where we have come. But everything said, we are all here to share and gain knowledge. Now, another announcement is that the 39th edition of YPS All India Salon is going to be launched very soon. And this is not going to be like any other salon, it's going to be one of the grand salons. So, from to all our viewers, if you can guess, how the salon features, how different it will be this year since it's a Golden Jubilee. If you can put down in the comments, if you guess it right, we will give you a shout out. We'll try to bring him up on the future events. And yeah, do mention how special it's gonna be. Just have a guess, put down in the comments. I'll try to bring him up on the screen later. Yeah. And another important thing, if you want to become a member, you can scan the QR code which is here on your screen. If not, you can visit our website ypsbengaluru.com and click on become a YPS member. The whole process is digitalized. Also, if you are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, do not forget to follow and like us on all the social media platforms. Our handle across all is same @YPS Bengaluru. I repeat @YPS Bengaluru. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell icon so that the moment we post content, you will be the first person to get notified. Now, okay, about the 39th edition, where I just mentioned that anyone who guesses it right that about how the salon is going to be, like, how different. So this is only for people who are non-EC, non-salon committee members to our general members, so that anyone who posts, if he or she is from our committee, yeah, that will be considered. Okay, now coming to our today's presentation. Before we bring up Mr. Gurcharan, here is a short movie about Mr. Gurcharan Roopra and the Nikon New D6. Now, to enjoy the movie, I hope you have your resolution on full, that is on 720p. And if you're watching it on Facebook, I request you to turn off the subtitles. Those are auto-generated and not from our end. Click on the CC button and turn them off. And I request you to put on a good pair of speakers to enjoy. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Gurcharan Roopra, a wildlife photographer. Nikon shared the new D6 with me over the last few weeks. I persevered the tough conditions to make the most of my time with it in Nairobi National Park. When photographing flying birds, it's clear to see the tracking maintains focus lock, working seamlessly through the distracting foreground. I tested it on my buggy and got a very different perspective on buffaloes with it. The new onboard GPS sensor gives me a fresh avenue to research my subject's whereabouts. Having a camera with such performance gives you the ability to be creative at the speed of your thoughts. A prime example is the solar eclipse.
Yes, so that was the amazing D6 and the amazing Gurcharan Roopra. And here we have welcome Gurcharan Roopra. Sat Sri Akal.
Sat Shri Akal to all of you guys. How are you doing? Yeah,
Wonderful. How are you?
fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, a warm welcome to YPS. We are really, happy to have you here today and have an amazing presentation and talk and the ground level photography. I'm really interested about the ground level photography because in the video when I saw the buggy, it really, it's fascinating stuff.
Normally, I'd like to do it the other way around, where you don't know what's happening and then you see how I'm taking the shots. But in this case, we've done it the other way. But still, there's a lot of, should I say, behind the scenes photos, a few things that will come on that people haven't seen before, because today is the first time I'm going to be sharing them. So prepare. And I've been already looking at the comments, and I've got some friends of mine from Portugal. We've got Victor who's messaged. I've got messages coming in from UK and other countries on my phone as well. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope we'll all enjoy this together. And sorry, not forgetting obviously all the YPS followers and all the guys who are messaging across through today. Thank you very much. We'll be looking forward to your comments. Yes, please try and make it as interactive as possible, because through your messages, because at the moment it looks like I'm just talking into a camera on my own. So let's get some feedback coming back, so we'll all go back. And if anyone, I want to add this, yeah, and maybe he might turn red, but oh, that mustache, man, Hardik, super, mate.
Thank you. So, okay. Yeah. So over to you, Ajit sir.
Well, friends, YPS members, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're joining this webinar from. I hope all of you are safe and sound and healthy and within the confines of your safe homes. I hope you're all following the COVID-19 protocols, washing of hands frequently, mask wearing, social distancing, and all the rest of it that goes with it. And wherever you are, please do take your vaccinations. It doesn't matter what vaccine is available in your country or in your city, whether it is Covaxin or whether it is Covishield or Pfizer or Moderna or AstraZeneca or Sputnik or whatever it is. Please do take the vaccination. It is safe. It is far, far safer to take the vaccine and be safer rather than to get COVID-19. I know I've lost a number of people close to me that I've known in the last 1 year. So please do take the vaccination. Don't just, relax after that. You still have to keep maintaining all the COVID-19 protocols, but so do stay safe. We have this wonderful session coming up, and everything is not all bad about COVID-19. One of the positives that's come out of COVID-19 is, having something like this, a webinar like this. It's not restricted by or constrained by the size of the hall. So you can have thousands of people seeing it at the same time from all across various countries, and the presenter from some other country as well. So, like I said, it's not all bleak. And I'm sure once the conditions return to normal, there will still be some areas, some places, some times where we will still require webinars to continue, even when it becomes normal.
Yep.
Totally agree on that. Where are we ever going to get such a big... I'm looking at the messages come through. We've got some messages from Poland as well. How are we going to get that sort of, should I say, viewers from all those countries in one place
absolutely.
to do one presentation? So that's the beautiful part about it for sure.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bring up a few comments from the chat. Yep, there we go. Wonderful to see.
So you not only have wildlife
Subi there as well. Subi is going to be on a helicopter with me later on this year, so that's another positive. Welcome, Subi. Looking forward to meeting you as well.
Yep. So let me introduce our today's presenter, Mr. Gurcharan Roopra. Gurcharan Roopra was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya. The serene environs of his native place left a lasting impact, and he became attracted to nature at an early age. After graduating in automotive engineering, Gurcharan lived and worked in the UK for 10 years, where he sorely missed the place and freedom of the bush. By 2012, he made up his mind and returned to Kenya for good. Returning to the bush coincided with him developing an interest in photography. What started off as a hobby took deep roots in his mind, and soon his life started revolving around wildlife and nature photography. Time and the bush were great mentors where he developed and honed his skills to become one of the most noted nature photographers in Africa. The more time Gurcharan spent in nature, the more passion he became towards Mother Earth and the many fellow beginning on it. He is committed to the cause a pristine earth and has devoted his time and energy to many conservation causes in Kenya. He is happy for the fact that his images have come useful for many conservation projects. One thing is for sure, there are many more exciting things to come from this gifted photographer. Yeah, so there we have our Mr. Gurcharan Roopra. Here's a comment from Mr. H. Satish. Says Gurcharan ji, I'm a big fan of yours, dreaming of one day sitting with you in wildlife of Africa.
Done deal. Done deal.
That's a long queue out there. It's a long queue. Join the lines.
Yeah. So it depends on how you're going to impress me now with your photos. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So there you go, Gurcharan. The stage is all yours.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, to all our viewers, I would like to make a note that please make sure that the resolution is set to 720p, and I request you to watch this on a bigger screen, a desktop, or even bigger screen like a TV to get the best experience. And fasten your seatbelts. We're going to take a tour too.
Yeah, don't fall over. Huh? Super. Please do share the presentation and then we'll get started with it.
Yeah.
And here we go. Thank you. So first of all, guys, thank you very much for attending. And I'm blown away by already the comments that are coming through, and looking forward to obviously having a more interactive chat towards the end of this. We'll bring up the questions and stuff. Slowly, let me start getting into it. And first of all, the question I always get asked by a lot of people, and especially from India for some reason, where am I from? Obviously, they want to know where I'm from in India. No, I'm born Kenyan. My dad's a born African, and we've been here. I won't repeat whatever's on the screen there. You can read it, so do enjoy reading that. But wherever there is stuff to talk about, I'll talk about it. And I think the key that I want to raise here is that I'm inspiring photograph over the weekends. This is a weekend hobby for me. It's not a full-time career. I do photography, one, for that factor of mind settledness, or, I can get away from work and I can go and if I find anything, photography for me is the most, should I say, mind relaxation activity I have. The process for me, going out there, getting photos, coming back, downloading them into Lightroom, and then the creative stuff on editing it and trying to make something not only that is significant to what we see out there, but also I want to make a sort of some sort of piece of art out of it. It's not only about, here I've captured a photo and I'm going to keep everything as real and near as possible. Yes, I don't do Photoshop in the respect of I don't remove, add, change backgrounds, things like that. I try and keep it very, very natural. And I'll try and take the shot to how I want to finish it. A lot of the time I've seen the finished shot, the edited shot before I take it. So something to think about. How did I get into photography? If all of you know motorsports, Kenya was a massive rally scene. And it all started off with rally photography. I used to look at all these photographers and I used to enjoy their rally photographs, calendars. Before those days, we didn't have the internet. It was all calendars and prints and posters. Those are the things that inspired me to become a photographer. Second question, when did it become serious? I think 2006, but as every year passes, I feel that I'm getting more and more and more. So this getting serious goalpost keeps moving, and I'm still yet to work out when it really gets serious, but it is slowly getting more and more serious. A lot of questions, obviously, what equipment do I use? Here's a photo of most of the equipment that I go out with. I think this is more than the clothes I usually take, and it's probably one place I do go with more equipment than any lady that you can bring to me. Yeah. So, yeah.
But yeah,
I can hear some sort of background chatter, but I'm not sure what is being said there. But anyway, yeah, here we go. So cameras, I've just picked up the new D6. I had the D5, the D850. I've got a whole session of Z7s, which are, you'll see how they get treated. And then you'll feel, I think if any positive comes out of today is you'll have a lot of confidence in Nikon equipment and what I put them through. Yeah, you can see all the lenses out there. I haven't put the f-stops on the lenses, but I have put the focals of them. So you should say 400 millimeter, 180, 400, 7200, 2470, 1424. I've got a 20 prime, 50 prime, and a 105 macro prime. And then obviously now that the Z is becoming very popular for me, I've got a couple of 1430Z lenses, not just the one, a couple of them. I've got a 24-200 when I'm traveling as a family trip, and a 7200 on both the mirrorless and non-mirrorless. Other equipment, I think that's a never-ending list, but I've tried to keep it very limited to what I've got here. Obviously, I've got the buggy, which you can see the four wheels somewhere in the middle. I've got the waterproof housing, which is on the top left. I've got all sorts of camera cages. There's one right besides the buggy. I'm using a lot of few flashes now, tripods. This one being critical for me is triggers. I mean, Nikon make beautiful triggers, but a lot of my triggers can work up to 1 kilometer. They're specifically made for me. There are places you can buy these triggers these days. You have to do a little bit of work yourself as well. By all means, feel free to message me. We can link you up with the guys who make them for me or where to buy them. So I'm happy to share. And please, all through or towards the end, I'm absolutely happy to share what I've made, how I've made, what has been done, because I feel that it's not the equipment that gets you shots, it's this that gets you shots. So work with this. Yeah.
So,
Very interesting, Gurcharan. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you here. Interesting that the longest lens is the 400. So tell us about that. Why have you stuck to 400 and not something beyond that?
Okay, so even the 400 2.8 is not with me anymore. I am using the 180 400. The good part with Kenya is you can get very close. That is critical. I'm not really a bird photographer, and I think if you are using 600s, 800s, bird photography might be a key to all of that sort of stuff. But if you look at it, bulk of my lenses are variable in focal length. And I really, really like that because I want to compose my shot differently every single time. If a lion walks up to me, I don't want to be stuck at 400 millimeter and then say, oh, what do I do now? Whilst I've got photos of just the pupil, the lashes. I love those sort of shots. But I also feel that I like the factor of, okay, here we've got a lion on a mound, but I'm not going to only take the lion on the mound. I'm going to take the whole sky to go with. I'm a glutton for skies. I love skies. And it's all about mixing it, trying to... I think the biggest first thing for me has been boredom. When you take too many of one shot, you get bored of it and you have to find another way to move on and find something different. And that trying to find something different is where we are today. And I've messed around and I wouldn't give it all away yet, but we'll go through it slowly by slowly. I was going to say pole, which is a Swahili word, but we'll go through it slowly and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
So I just want to make a note here that, this particular equipment image, what you have here, it looks more like a Pinterest image, but then it's so that you have all those things. That's amazing.
Oh, I've got a behind the scenes shot of where I'm being held to hold my camera up above and take. Yeah, we're not sharing that one though.
Wow.
But yeah, you can see right in the middle, you've got a pelly case with two wires coming out. That's a trigger. I've got a cam ranger. Just below the buggy, you've got that little trigger with the orange, which can that can trigger using sound or light. So if there's a lightning bolt, that can trigger. You can see I've got a battery box. That's the biggest issue with obviously camera equipment. The battery goes down. You can see the white tips on the battery. One is pointing down, one is pointing up. I always put the charged batteries pointing up and the battery that's flattened is pointing down. So that battery needs a charge. I've made myself a little case because, you've got so many cameras, you've got so many different battery types. And what would end up is I'd end up looking for 5 plugs in every lodge, trying to plug 5, 6 different things. And then not forgetting, I'm a forgetful person and I'll always have a trail of things left behind. So you could kind of say, okay, Guch was here. Guch was here. Oh, Guch was here too. Yeah. So I've got the case now where all the batteries are charged in one box. It's one plug. So I can put everything together in the room and everything gets charged on one socket. Whereas before I used to have to go and, every corner of the room, there's a socket on this side, there's a socket on that side, this camera needs this battery charger. And there was a big mess like that. My key lenses and stuff is if I'm going on a trip, the 2 lenses that I'll always have with me is one, the 24-70 and my 180-400. If I'm taking the mirrorless, the 14-30 is my lens of choice. And these are the 3 key lenses in 99% of my photography. Until I used to use the 20 millimeter f1.8. And the reason was to put it in a box so the animals could come close to it. Now that has moved away from a mirrored camera to the mirrorless Z series camera. So you'll see them coming across. Yeah.
Sure. There's one question with respect to the D6 D series. Shall I bring it up?
I can see. Yeah. Yeah. Go on. You want to? Could you please critically comment on the improvement of the D6 compared to the oldest? Focus. It is mind blowing on the D6. I'd never, having a D. I've had from a D4, a D4S, a D5, and now the D6. And the key part about the D6 is focus. It blows all the older cameras away. And I thought the D5 would be more than enough, and I stuck to the D5. And then Nikon gave me the D6 to have a play with during lockdown. And honestly, even if I had to, poof, it literally is. You could pick up the D6, put it into 3D, point up at the sky. There's a bird flying. We all know that when you're picking up a big lens, you could be shaking, you could be all over the place. But the D6 will maintain focus lock on that subject. And the video was a very good example of how it maintains that focus all the way through. It's a brilliant camera, honestly. And hats off to them for what they've done. It may not, I know a lot of people have many comments regarding, it just looks like a slightly modified D5. Maybe, but what that camera can do in focus, it blows everything else away, honestly.
It's what's inside.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take this one question and then we'll move ahead.
Yes, no worries.
It's from Mr. Abhishek. He wants to know about the difference do you find when it comes to editing on DSLR or mirrorless format?
The obviously editing happens in Lightroom for me. As far as I know from Nikon, the D850 and the Z7 have virtually the same sensor. I haven't really found any difference. The Z7s, what's so amazing about them is if you look at the D850 and the size of it, and the Z7 is equal to that, look at how much smaller it is. Visually, the biggest difference, obviously, being size. Photographically, the biggest difference is even on 14 millimeter. If I put my 1424 on the D850 and shot, we obviously have the vignetting on the ends, and we've got the photos all sort of coming into this curvature. So the animals that are standing on the straight on the ends tend to be looking at nearly 30, 45 degrees coming in. Whereas on the Zs, because the hole is so much more larger, you don't get that skew of the image. It's so much more different. And now you can work with 14 millimeter images and they look like great shots at the same time, rather than, the first thing you say, this is probably a fisheye shot. Whereas on the 14, on the Zs, you don't get that sort of effect. And you'll see the photos coming through with it later in the slideshows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all yours. Cool.
Moving on. So I wanted to, I've been featured in Nikon's unofficial end photo, Trails Explorers. The Sky magazine goes with Delta Airways. There's an article in Delta Airways, Nomad magazine, Wilder magazine. I've been featured in Remembering Rhinos. I mean, the list is so, I didn't want to go on too much about it. Okay, this is something that now I want you guys to think about. I want you to think what makes an amazing photo. Please respond with your messages. I want to understand what you guys feel also makes an amazing photo. And this question will answer it towards the end of the slideshow. I'll put another slide with this question right at the end. But in the meantime, I want you guys to please think about what you feel makes an amazing photo, and then respond, please message, and then we'll pick this up at the end. Yeah. How this is going to be broken down is I've started off with low-level photography. We're going to be picking up a couple of low-level photography shots, and then we'll take the next way on how I eventually got them, the behind the scene. Not exactly, but at least the equipment that I've shown. The EXIF data will be on all the photos. And then we'll move on to a different type of low level, finally coming up to aerial photography. So the slideshow is broken down into those sort of things. It's not really a scattered gun approach, which I like, but we're just trying to do something a little bit more organized. Firstly, grok, low level. Yeah. This is out of the vehicle. I'm using the vehicle as my buffer, so the croc has to get the vehicle before it gets me. Obviously, there's a risk factor to this. You can only do this in particular areas where you're allowed to come out of the vehicle, which is not allowed in any national park. Please don't go and try this in Nairobi National Park, Masai Mara. You'll get caught and you'll get thrown out. Your most amazing trip will be spoiled because of a little thing that you saw Gooch, and Gooch did a great shot of it, and I'm going to copy it, and then you'll be in trouble. But please make sure you are. And a lot of times, always respect your guide, because your guide knows the animal, understands the behavior way better than me and you do. So when the guide says, Gooch, this one, yes, this one, no, respect. Do as he says. Yeah. Again, a nice low-level rhino. I love that one piece of grass that he's eating in there. Another issue with low-level photography is when you are trying to get out of the vehicle and lying down, you'll be covered with insects, ticks. I've got bites all over me that I don't like to show around. But if you find me itching myself, you know that I was being naughty this weekend, and that's where all the itches have come from. Yeah. But even a simple thing like sometimes you get out of the vehicle at a picnic spot to come out and eat. You'll be surprised ticks will climb over on from there, and slowly by steadily. The favorite one this week was I opened my sunglasses box and there's a tick in my sunglasses box. I don't know how it got in there, but there was one there, and thankfully I've got no bites on my head so far.
My worst is the tsetse fly. Nothing can beat a tsetse
Yeah.
fly.
But you know, the way to avoid the tsetse fly is don't go in the high season. Don't go when the wildebeest are there, because that's when they come. They come for that poo, and you know for a fact that that tsetse fly has been sitting on poo before it comes and sits on you. Yeah, he has one to go with it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's terrible.
I agree with you. That is a problem. Yeah, and then we wanted to try and get closer. I was constantly trying to. Now, you see, the last two were not so dangerous. Obviously, lion is dangerous. It can snap in a moment. How do you do trying to get close to lions and elephants as well? How do you get close to these sort of subjects and still try and get low level? This has been, I think, the biggest one for me. You know, how do you keep trying to get closer to these sort of animals without disturbing them, number one, and number two, obviously not putting yourself at risk. Yeah, if an elephant or a lion comes and injures me as a person, the first thing that every ranger, or what the first retaliation to the animal will be, oh, this one has hurt a man, this one is a man-eater, we need to kill it. And for sure, please, guys, that is not what our intention is. We are wildlife photographers. We are nature enthusiasts. We are not there to injure the animal. So please, you know, I also tell guys when they're going out, please don't go there with food and go throwing it out. We are there for nature. Please manage. I mean, even a vehicle going in nature, I feel is a problem. We are having all these electric vehicles that are starting in the Mara. Fingers crossed they work out well. But what I'm saying is, yes, you're there. Please keep it to a limit, and let's go there and enjoy the beauty that this wildlife gives us. Yeah. I love these horizon shots. These are always been my favorite, where the legs are not being cut. I spent a lot of time here trying to get the gap between the animals to be equal. So each one was an individual. The two in the center didn't give me that gap, but nevertheless, it still makes it work out. I loved it. And I know I keep saying this, and I'm going to repeat this: skies. For me, this shot was all about the sky, and then the elephants came in afterwards. Yeah. So it's about the sky. Again, it's about the sky. I chose the sky, and then I went and found the subject. And with this elephant, I spent about an hour with this one individual, just slowly by slowly, as he moved, I moved with him. And I did that for so long that he got so comfortable, and he would even come up to 2 feet away from the car. He got so used to saying, you see, this is the main thing I'm trying to talk about, is that he gets so comfortable that you're no longer a threat to this guy. This guy is now looking at you. Oh, he's just that guy making those click sounds, and he's cool. He's not got an issue. That is where we need to be. When you spend time with these animals, you want to reach the point where you've got into their comfort zone. You've become part of their comfort zone. If you zoom up to this elephant, before you get your first shot, he will have left. Same thing with wildebeest, same thing with all herbivores or any animal. You try and drive straight up to them without any tact or approach, a loose, light approach. The first thing they're going to do is run away. So you need to make sure you take a slow approach, first stand 20 meters away. Let them get used to when they start ignoring you at 20 meters, now come to 10 meters. When they start ignoring you at 10 meters, come to 5 meters. When they start ignoring you at 5 meters, come to 3 meters. There will be a point where they won't want you any closer, but then target the way which direction they're moving in, go and park your vehicle ahead, and you'll find that once they're so used to you, they'll approach you, come really close. That is how you target this thing, and that's how you work with all this sort of stuff. Patience. And how did I take these shots? The most simplest way. Monopod, upside down, out of the vehicle. You can't tell it's that way. It's just a monopod outside the vehicle, and I'm using a very standard Nikon trigger to take these shots.
I have a question. Like there was an image about the elephant, but there are two elephants, one in between the trunk. So how did you manage to get that shot? A couple of shots back.
This one, yeah.
This one. So how much time did you spend, and the difficulty you took to get that perspective or that particular placement of the elephants?
I'm just a lucky guy. No, only joking. Yeah, it's obviously time. Some of these placements you can't plan. As you see the subjects begin to walk and move over, you see the scene coming together, but you need to be the guy fast enough to move in front of, okay, I see this coming up. Let me go and prepare, and I'll wait for this. Because none of these things, some days you go with a plan that today I'm going to try and get a lion between the other lion's legs. It'll never, ever happen. So you just have to, you see the scene developing. And once the scene starts developing is where you prepare and you go for it. And, 9 out of 10 times when you're in the right place at the right time, you get the shot.
And presence of mind that it's happening and you're already there to shoot.
Exactly. Yeah. And the way I did this is the reason actually I bought the D850 was the flip screen. So you could compose as the camera is on the ground. You're looking at the screen on live view and you're composing sitting in your vehicle. So you're looking around, you're playing with this monopod to try and get the shot. Yeah. So that was the whole idea of the D850 for me.
It can be.
Or is it with some other driver?
Sorry, I missed you. Just go again.
Do you drive your own vehicle most of the time?
Yes. The Defender in the back of the photo is my vehicle. Nairobi National Park, I do my own game drives and photography. Now that I go into the Mara, I have guides who I enjoy working with, and I've worked with them for a while. So when I'm in the Mara, I'll photograph or they'll drive me around. What that gives me is the added advantage of, okay, here is the scene. Or you can tell the guy, look, I want to shoot backlight. And while the guy is moving the vehicle into the backlight position, you're already preparing the camera and firing some test shots. So you're already there preparing, firing some test shots. And by the time you get into there, you're already 20-30% ready. Whereas I do drive my own vehicle in the Mara, but then what happens with that sort of time is you're concentrating on the animal's movement. You go and prepare your car ahead, and then you're focusing on getting some shots as the animal walks towards you or something like that. Obviously, nothing beats my head because I know what I want to do. But sometimes we have a difficulty in communicating what up here is thinking. So you could be telling your guide, I want this, but he hasn't understood it. And he's looking in the opposite direction for you because obviously you're behind him and you're saying, go to the left, go to the left, go to the right, go to the right. I want that shot. Yeah, and he's like, that shot is which shot? You know what I mean? So yeah, communication is key. And there's some guys that have understood, and we've worked together for so long, and we've now understood communication between each other. And those are the guys I like to travel with over and over. But then again, sometimes I travel to the Mara and I find a new guide who's really amazing. And then start again. We start with this guy, then we start with that guy. But most importantly, wildlife photography, as much as it is about the animals, it's also about the people around you. Sometimes you'll have big crowds when you go in the migration. You've got 30, 40 cars around you in the Mara, which is not the most amazing part about the Mara. I think that's the low end of the Mara, which we don't like, because you're always trying to fight for a position. And I like to go into private conservancies because they keep a higher price, and that means that only a few people can afford to go there. And not saying that my head's stuck up, I'm just saying that I'm there for wildlife photography. I want the peace, the quiet, the mindfulness. The art is what we're trying to get, and I want that sort of clarity and openness. But even that, saying that, what makes you different from everybody else is your ability to get a shot that nobody else would have got whilst you're in the same situation. So you need to develop as a photographer. I think, talking about this, I think the biggest ability or the biggest reason, I only started photographing in 2012, 2013 when I moved back to Kenya. That's when I started photography. Yeah. And I feel that I'm out there every weekend trying something. Yeah. So if I wanted to go and try zebras, I'd go there and I'd try zebras and zebras and zebras, and then I'd get bored of it. Before it wasn't like that. Before it was like I wanted to just drive around and pick up every animal I saw and made sure I got a great shot of that. But then what I found is that the factor I'm missing is I'm not getting that crazy, amazing shot, because I'm there, see a zebra, take 1, 2 shots, 5 shots. Yeah, I've got some nice zebra shots. Move on. Here we go to buffaloes. Oh, I've got some 5, 6 shots of buffaloes. Move on. Oh, cheetah. Spend 1 hour. I've got 10. Ooh, I've got 2, 3 great shots of cheetahs. Move on. Now what I do is I can go into the park on a Saturday afternoon and I can spend all afternoon just with zebras because I'm looking for something different. Yeah. Tendency is that I'll go and look for a location first. I like a particular location, and if the location and the subject come together, then I could be there for really long trying to deal with it. And the same thing every week. So I could be driving around and I find this big group of giraffes. The landscape is perfect. And I'll just sit and wait, and I'll wait for those moments where the shots are crazy, or where that moment has come where I feel the sky, the subject, and the landscape has come together. That is the shot for me. So yes, sometimes it is time consuming. Some days I'll come back with nil empty memory cards. But there's days that you'll come back with a lot more. Yeah, some days I know I come back and I've got 2,000 shots from one game drive, and you sit into Lightroom and you're like, really? Good. What was wrong with you today? Did you really need to take 2,000 shots? But then over time, over practice, I'll come back with maybe 50 shots, 100 shots, 200 shots that from them, a good percentage are usable shots. So, and what I do is, or what I have a tendency to do is, if I have a whole sighting and maybe even 500 shots of this one sighting, I will choose one. Just one shot. Yes, one shot will be my best shot. So my Lightroom catalog is probably about 280, 290,000 photos. What you see on social media is 100 of those shots. So if every year I go out and I take 20, 30, 10, 15, 40,000 shots, for example, you only see 400. You're only seeing the great of the crap. Yeah, or the better of the crap. Yeah. So beware. It's not, we all have our highs and lows, and it's trying to build on these highs that I managed to do something different to get a better shot. How can I either repeat that something different, or how do you calculate that something different? That's what's the fun about it. Here we go. Now we're going to move it to a different kind of low-level photography. And on this particular day, this shot was not planned. This shot was actually a failure of my settings, but I put the camera down and expected it to be at 18 millimeter. Oh, no, it was a 24-70. I expected it to be at 24 millimeter because I wanted to pick up everything. The Rhinos had their own thing in mind. After I was done, I went to pick up the camera, and the first thing I noticed is that my zoom is at 55 millimeters, not 24. And I was like, oh God, I've spoiled this. And then I looked at the viewfinder And look at this composition. It's exactly as shot, no crop, no nothing.
Fabulous.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to let nature take its course at the same time. Yeah? Yeah. Just blindly drop the camera and go. Yeah? Hope for the best. Yeah. But yeah, it's making the best out of anything. That's what the idea is. That's what makes us human. We have to, a mindset is important. When you have a mindset and you go into the park with a mindset that I'm having a bad day, the only things that are going to happen to you are bad things. But if you go with the mindset that you're having a beautiful day and today is the day everything's going to happen, everything will happen. And I've gone with people who are always whinging and complaining. And then you find that you're going with them and you're not even getting the shots. I'm not getting the shots. I'm a better photographer, maybe, or he's the most amazing photographer, whichever way. But we're not getting these shots. Whereas if you go with that open heart, open mind, I think the energy is also felt by the animals. And these animals will do all this stuff for you and it'll work out. Watch. Go there with an open mind, open heart. Don't go there with push and this, that, and the other. And you'll watch. It'll all come together by itself. Yeah.
That's the reason, Gurch, I said, I called you Guru. You said, you're called home. I said,
it is. And more than anything else, I feel, when you have the right mindset, when you're mentally prepared for the whole thing, you're relaxed, it'll all come together in a very, very different way than you'd ever have thought otherwise. Yeah. I mean, look at this. And this guy saw the camera, started coming up towards me. And every time he came closer, he would breathe in and breathe out. Try to breathe in, try to pick up what the smell. I don't know which cologne I was using. I don't know if I was using elephant poo or rhino poo that day. He was trying to work out which cologne I was wearing or which poo I was wearing. And he came and he sniffed and he sniffed. And then when the first shutter went off, he blew out. And I didn't let go of the shutter because I was really worried about my camera that today's the day it's going to go. Yeah. And the dust flew and it made such an amazing shot. I love this shot. Yeah. Again, still working on the same scheme, trying to hide the camera. Sometimes it doesn't work. The first shutter that goes off. I mean, from the zebras walking towards the camera to this shot is literally and in the third second, the zebras are back to stand. It's just the same factor of someone's hiding behind the door. You walk through the door and it gives you a boo. And you have that momentary, oh my God, what happened here? Yeah. And this is what you're trying to capture. So when you're trying to press the trigger, don't let go. Yeah. Worst could happen is you lose your camera. Yeah. But again, then you have these easier moments where you go there and you take these shots, and the sky being very standard, very normal. The key on this shot is obviously the mum and that horn on the rhino. I mean, you don't get to see rhinos like this anymore. She was just so beautiful. I mean, I followed her. Like I said to you, this is the one I want to photograph, and I'm following her all day long. Light had become harsh. You can see the shadow is nearly virtually above, or the shadow is virtually below her. And I didn't matter, I was like, it's harsh light, whatever it is, I'm going out there. I love this rhino and I'm going to try and get shots. Yeah. And then you try and get closer, and then you try and get closer, and then boom, yeah, you're close enough. Yeah. Then what do you do? Yeah.
Guru, do you use a polarizer?
No, I don't use any polarizers. Yeah. And here we go, buffalo coming to sniff. Yeah, and I know Indian buffaloes are okay, so all of you guys are thinking, what's the big deal? Come and try that with African buffaloes. Yeah? Come and try this with African buffaloes. They'll teach you the lesson. Yeah, and these were single animals. Then obviously we go and try groups, and then you have groups of animals also coming across. And I did a project with Amboseli Trust for Elephants, and we went out, and the first day I went there and I pulled up the vehicle and I put all my gear on the ground, and I was like, look, this is what I'm planning to do. What do you guys feel? And first I was met with, let's go and try. And then we had this first family, They call this the FB family. We've got the first elephant that's closest to us called Fanny. And as she walked across, and then the researchers started looking at the reactions and the interactions of the elephants with these boxes of mine, and they were blown away. We just sort of, as soon as the family crossed the camera, Gooch, we're going again. Gooch, we're going again. We did this 3, 4, 5 times. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. And, that's one of those moments where you feel that you are doing something that even the researchers are enjoying. So, yes, I'm not doing something wrong. I'm really doing something that people are liking and enjoying. So, you know what I mean? It's that extra tick in the box that, great.
Yeah.
Happy,
And that's
happy with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy with this. And again, we're still with groups here, but look at that, 5 rhinos lined up. Yeah, these are all white rhinos. I'll show you some shots with blacks later on, but sometimes even trying to get close or trying to prepare, you don't know where they're going to go, what's going to happen. The grass might be too tall. Oh, the grass is too like this on this. Or you've got, you stick it there and then one blade of grass starts moving, focus lock goes onto the blade of grass, and that's the end of the shots. I don't use pre-focus. I let it autofocus. Yeah, and I'll have an estimate of where we're going to have it, if that's the frame somewhere up there or low, depending on the subject I'm photographing. I'll move it around, and you're just playing around with things, and you're hoping for the best. There was a time I used to take, in the first factor, I used to shoot blindly, but since then I've had devices that allow me to see what the camera is seeing, HDMI over Wi-Fi. I'll share some of the photos of the equipment with you guys.
Yeah.
And then here we go, lioness walking. On this particular day, the sun in the background, it's around 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, she just walks straight up to the camera. We plan, we prepare. She walks up, she comes, she gives it a sniff, and she gives it a lick, and then she walks off. Here I was on this day thinking, it's going, the camera's going, the camera's going. But she just came, she licked it, she smelt it, and she walked off. Yeah. And then this was probably one of the hardest things. Black rhinos. These guys are so nervous. I mean, I've had to drive for days trying to get close enough for starters. The first thing that happens is you do something, mock charge, mock charge, mock charge. I mean, I don't know how many mock charges I had to go through before we got this shot. But saying that is, we're not there to scare them. We were doing a project for All Pajeta, and All Pajeta have 130 rhinos in their conservancy. And they requested that, Gooch, we want some photos of black rhinos, so please come. And I said to them, all right, I'll take a weekend off from work and I'll come and do Saturday, Sunday with you guys, and we will see what we get. And when I finished and I showed the shots, and they were like, we can't believe it. Normally what you've done in a few days or in 2 days, people would take 3 to 4 weeks. And we don't know how you did it. Their guide said the same thing, saying, I don't know how you've done it. I don't know if it's your luck. I don't know what's going on. But, sometimes things come together. And black rhinos, wow, hard work, man. This one was Lola. And thankfully, the guides understood her behavior. So we were then able to plan based on her behavior and put our equipment out to try and get what we could. But again, it means that you're spending time, you're spending days with them, and you're then trying to get this thing to work. Yeah. Here we go. We've got, this is Morani, one of Scarface's brothers. We all know Scarface, the guy with the injury up there, because that's how he's recognized. This was Morani. Again, Sky was there, he was there. We tried and we worked. Yeah. And then we have these naughty little kids. These guys are the ones you need to really worry about with your equipment. Yeah? Yeah. This is not the guy you need to worry about. These are the guys you need to worry about. Yeah. And I'll show you after the scenes shot. Yeah. So these are the naughty, these are the guys, the curiosity, the naughtiness. They're going to mess around with anything and everything they get their hands on. But at the same time, they give you these beautiful shots. Yeah, these are Z7 shots. I mean, everything that you see is 14 millimeter, 18 millimeter, 14. These are all, the 20 millimeter was obviously the mirrored camera, but these are mirrorless. The question regarding mirrorless. Here you go. Can you tell the difference between a mirrored shot and a non-mirrored shot? I can't. And if you have something that you want to share, please do. It'd be nice to know. Yeah. Coming back, and then again, I did these projects. You get bored of doing things like this. You try something different. You go and you stick a flash on your camera, and you try something in the evening light. I had a small SB 300 that I put onto this, and boom. Yeah, you've got the guys in the background, so the flash is not powerful enough to get far enough. You can see the guys at the back aren't really exposed, but the guy at the front is super exposed. It works out. It gives you a feeling of depth at the same time. And you're constantly trying to play around. And, you get shots, but you want to look for something different. You go and you try and over. Today, nothing. Tomorrow, yes. Don't give up. That's the major part about it. Don't give up. Yeah. Yeah. So I've just seen that message. I need to start growing a beard to get lucky. You need Hardik's mustache, and then you need my beard. Then you'll be double lucky.
So this will start growing a beard, and we'll make a trip.
Yeah. You have no idea of the box of tricks that are hidden down here. Super stuff. Nice. And then you obviously, the factor is always trying to get closer. And then you've got an elephant where he's literally above the camera. This is at 14 millimeters. You can think for yourself. This is an uncropped frame, 14 millimeters. Imagine for yourself how close he was. If you can't imagine how close he was, this would help. Yeah. And this would help. Yeah. He went over the camera. Yeah, he literally just came and he walked over my camera and he went over. So if you're still trying to worry if I was holding the camera, no, I wasn't. Or I've got big balls that are bigger than an elephant. So whichever way, one of the two is going to work. Yeah. And then, you get lucky on this day. This little one came and he tried to, how baby elephants are. They go and they try and scare everything that's smaller than them. And this guy came, he tried to scare my camera, and he tried to scare my camera. Obviously, the camera didn't get scared. Yeah, and all he could keep hearing was click, 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 click. So he went complaining to mommy. Obviously, I don't know what he said. Yeah, none of us could understand that. But there was some communication with mommy down the road, and mommy came straight to my camera. She came honestly straight. She gave it a sniff, and boom. That happened next. The last shot I got out of that camera was this. So the camera then looking up at her, and she's looking down saying, okay, fine, I think I've done enough to it. And literally she took this camera and like a football player, she had the top pressed first, she turned it around, she pressed the side, she turned it around, she pressed the bottom, she turned it around, she pressed the other side, she made it point downwards, pressed the back, turned it over, pressed, turned it over facing upwards, and pressed again. She made sure she got every side of that camera pressed down in her feet. She was pissed off with me, I guarantee you. Whatever that little one said, he really did complain about me. Yeah. And then you have another day where the elephants pick up your camera and walk off with it. Honestly, they walked off, and then this guy tasted it, didn't like it, dropped it back onto the ground, and then they played football with it. And this is one of the shots from that football scene. Yeah. I couldn't have planned, nowhere I could have planned this shot. You can see my two knees with the door open saying, oh my God, my camera, oh my God, my camera, oh my God, my camera. Yeah, that's the door open with me looking up, and all the guys in there laughing, saying, there goes your camera, there goes your camera.
Fabulous.
I should have added a photo of the state of the camera after all this. But how did I do this? And how did I make it work? How did I get closer without, number one, injuring the animal, number two, injuring myself, which will, in retaliation, injure the animal? And here it is. Yeah, a little cage. If you see these bits I've added onto the cage here, was after it was after this. Yeah, after this, because I nearly broke the hood. I cracked the hood, which I've repaired. Yeah, and this is how this shot came about. Yeah, it's the fun, but you can also see that the remote or the trigger mechanism is in that little pelly box on the left-hand side of the camera. If you see that little pelly box in there, that's where the triggers are, which was also part of that big photo of all the cameras and the gadgets. And then the buffalo shots. How did I do it? Here is the device. Yeah, I had a custom built buggy with a custom chassis that mounts a camera. You've got the kit at the back, which is the HDMI over wireless transmitter, so we can then review. I've used mirrored cameras on this, but mirrorless, the lightness, how the whole mechanism of the trigger works with the HDMI. Mirrorless is honestly the way to go with this. I love that factor. Here you go. The guys are, this was the scene where I've got that one buffalo just looking into it, and I drove the camera up to them. I had been trying to take buffalo shots for 4 years, and the buffaloes were so skittish that every time they walked up to this device, they'd see this device and then walk around it. And then you bring a buggy and expect that as soon as the buggy moves, all the buffaloes are just going to disappear. They see the buggy moving and they walk up to it and say, "Hey, what's this? What's this? What's this? Show me, show me." And it worked. I never assumed it would, but it did. And every subject on the photo that we had with the zebras quite early on, I'm just going to jump through. Yeah, on the photos we had with the zebras here, it was very, very different. Zebras were very, very skittish. And what we had to do for the zebras is I had to design a box that looked like a rock. So we got a fiberglass guy to make the box look like a rock. We placed it within some rocks, and that's the only way I got zebra shots then. Now it's just, I think, a particular day or season. Now I put my box down, and maybe the zebras are used to it, but they just keep walking up to it. It's like, guys, what took you so long before? I spent months trying to work out what was the right way around it, and then here comes, and it doesn't matter. But then, as I was telling you, these naughty little guys, man. Yeah, these guys is what you have to be careful of. Yeah, so if you ever put your camera out and it's not protected, yeah, you're not going to get it back. Yeah. But all this, it's these guys' curiosity. And this was way before COVID came in. And as soon as we picked up the camera and put it in the car, the first thing the guide gave me is hand wash. And he goes, "Guch, I want you to wash your hands. I don't know where those lions' mouths have been." And this was before Corona, you know what I mean? Yeah, so there's a different way. And, this has been a journey of fun, exploring. This is what it has been for me. And this fun and exploring has led shots to come my way, or led projects to come my way. These naughty little cartoons, it's just fun. You sit there and you're watching them playing with this thing, and you're like, and you're so comfortable because the shots look nice. But had this been your camera with wires, triggers, they would have been ripping through all of that. I've had that. I mean, this buggy, I used to put a mirrored camera in it before, a D850 on it. And I've had a lioness come and rip the tires off, rip every part of this buggy off. And that was the first day I took it out and the last day I took it out on that trip. And then you prepare it, you plan, you think again, and you come back and you come up with a new plan. And because I now knew what cubs do, I went for a more static device, not my buggy. Yeah, my expensive buggy is way too expensive to be broken down like this. Yeah, so things change. You have to do, sometimes you have to persevere. You don't get the shot. You have to go back to the drawing board, find a new way to work, and then come back. And then try it. It doesn't fail. Just talking about the timeline, the first device that I made, I put it out there, and the first animal that saw the device took the biggest U-turn around the device and walked off. It took me 8 months or 9 months to get to this device. Yeah, from constant playing, trying, this didn't work. Throw it away. I don't know what to do now. And then you forget about it. You go out and you put this ghillie. Has anyone seen one of those ghillie suits when you watch those Navy sniper movies and the army guys are wearing that suit that blends in? This is what this is. And the photos that were taken with it, if I just go to that photo, these two photos were taken with it. Yeah. And when you look at this photo, they didn't know. They weren't sure if it was grass. They weren't sure. That's why they approached to come and sniff what new species of grass is this. Do you think it'll be tasty? But then I was worried about my camera. What if the rhino stepped on it and snapped the... you know what I mean? Then I'd worry about it, and I'd just leave it. And you know what the safety mechanism for me was? Number one, insurance. Yeah. Number two, trigger. So I would, when the rhino would come close enough, I'd just keep the trigger pressed and not leave it. So then it looked like this little animal, whatever it was trying to ward it off. You know, it's like, so it moves backwards. And then you stop shooting, and then the animal would start walking up close to it. And then you start triggering again, yeah, even though the animal was approaching from the back. Just for the safety of my camera, I would just trigger it and just hold down the trigger. So I had a lot of shots of nothing. When I do come to sell the camera, I don't know how many frames it will have shot. Yeah, so if anyone wants to check that, you never know. Yeah, but after seeing what I've put my cameras through, you might not want to buy them. But one thing I'll do is they're tried and tested, and they're going to work. That's the one thing I can guarantee for them.
So talking about being lucky, here's a very interesting one from Prema.
Yeah.
He says, "You guys can grow a beard. What do we do?"
You have to come with us, yeah, and work with our luck, yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we all know the use of Lakshmi, where the lady is the one who brings the money in. But in wildlife,
They finance it. Yeah, they finance it.
Yeah, you can finance the trip for us. Yeah. All right, now let's move to Ariel. I mean, in Ariel, the stories are not so much with detail of what's going on. With Ariel, the stories are more about compositions and how it happened. And, you know, it's a totally different ball game. And I'm going to start off with this shot. The reason I want to start off with this shot is maybe a little backstory behind it. I did my first trip on aerial photography as a gift for myself on my birthday. Yeah, Lakshmi note. Yeah, yeah. So we did this trip, and my son was in the back, right behind me in the chopper, and this is actually a shot by him, not by me. And he was 9 at the time of taking the shot. I was using my D5 with the 70-200 connected because I wasn't using the D850 with the 2470. He took it and he just was having fun with it. I said, look, just go on, do whatever you want. If a 9-year-old having fun can achieve this, why can't 40-year-olds trying to achieve this? You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say here is take a back seat sometimes in life, learn how to enjoy the scenery, learn how to understand the thing. And, you know, sometimes luck will bring the shots. You know, I didn't even realize that the camera was on. I'd put it on shutter priority, put 1600 on it. It was at f2.8. Who would have thought even f2.8 would give such a beautiful shot? But what I'm trying to get to is it's not always about, and this is something we'll talk about towards the end of it. I want to talk about settings at the end of the slideshow. And just take note today what f2.8 gets you. Yeah. So moving on to the next shot now, which is where my skill comes into hand. Yeah. And here we go. You know, we've got this thing that looks like a galaxy. It's on the ground. In this case, what I've done is I've underexposed the shot. And the nice part about this lake is that the underexpose, or you know what we're always used to do is we always see this blue reflection on water and we assume it's always blue. But when you see water, I'm going to go to the camera. There we go. When you see water, we see that because we are standing somewhere here and we get that angle coming up from the water. Whereas when you're doing aerial photography, you're shooting like this. So suddenly it doesn't reflect on anything and you see what is below the water. You see the ground colors and whatever is down there. So in this case, the water was dark underneath or the ground was dark And look what it's done. We've got these greens, we've got these little flamingos flying across. Again, just to try and talk about this dark water and the difference about it, here's another slide. And this is taken in Amboseli, where if anyone has been to Kenya, this is near Observation Hill, where the swamp starts. This elephant family were busy drinking water from the swamp. And again, the water is dark. So it shows that the soil underneath was pretty dark, because the greens, the browns, everything is there, but the water comes out dark. So it's just about the angle and the reflections. It's now very different, because we are virtually, or should we say, we are totally above at this moment in time. And then you've got this factor where you've got all the birds and they were running away, and you know how flamingos run. They try and get that speed running on the water. And here we go. So it kind of looks like you can't even tell they're flamingos. It's only when you start looking into more detail. It's kind of like flowers, something coming down, and you're just there shooting, hoping for the best that you'll pick something up. And then comes the day where you do recognize something and it'll work. And here we go. Now we've got this. This is the algae that the flamingos come to eat. So the flamingos come for this algae, and this is why they stick their heads in. And with the wind, the algae has gone up to make this beautiful design. And I was lucky enough on this particular day to get a couple of flamingos flying across, the conditions turning out right with the algae. And then on the right-hand side, this is my shot versus my son's shot, who took the big scene, and I went for the zoom. The difference is there. They still make beautiful shots. I love his shot. And you know what I mean? And then we go away from flamingos. We go away from this sort of aerial type photography just for a moment, and we pick up animals, and we pick up hippos on an island. Yeah, again, something very different. Still aerial side, not 100% above. You can see the hippos just using the water to cool down. The others just want to bask. This is a very typical scene from Mara River. This is a Mara River scene, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And then again, moving back into just looking at designs, looking at variations, looking at how water flows. I'm lost for words of these shots, because sometimes that I'm so focused behind the camera, I don't know what I'm photographing. It's only when I come back away from it and you'll be like, that scene was nice. Did I get a shot? Oh yeah, shit, I did get a shot. Look at it, amazing. Because sometimes things are moving so fast in this sort of photography, or you're not really sure what you're getting. Yeah, and I'll explain that to you later as well. And again, moving on, the dark water, still in Magadi. And this was taken about 3-4 weeks ago, where the rain had brought a very different aspect to it. And then I was there end of January, and it was again, same place, same thing, totally different. Yeah, totally different. The landmark looked like a sharp tooth, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Totally different. 2 flamingos. Look at the contours, what the ground is leaving behind with the dark water. You've got a couple of greens, blues. If I was to give somebody a location for aerial photography, this would be, for me, the place to go. You could go and try aerial photography anywhere you want to, but this one place is the craziest of them all. Yeah. And then still, trying to do the same aerial stuff, but now with animals, very different reflection, still aerial photography, still shot from very high up and a long distance, overexposed in this case, whereas this would have been an underexposed shot, overexposed to try and get something like this. Yeah. And then the season changes, we go from dry to rain. And then the rainwater brings in the brown color. The standard cloudy, you can see the clouds reflecting on the water. The water is dark underneath, and you've got the dark blue and the black, totally different. And then you plan a trip and you go to somewhere really amazing, and they give you volcanoes, you know what I mean, eruptions, how all the colors, you can see where this is Lake Turkana on the north side of the photo. The south side is a little lake that got left behind as the water went to dry. And then you've got the little pools, and the little pools have got different colors in them. You've got all these different shades of green. Yeah. And it's just, sometimes with aerial photography, I'm so blown away. Even I keep looking at these shots, and sometimes I'm blown away. I don't even know what to talk about them. And on my presenter notes for all these aerial shots, I've got zilch, zero, nothing. Yeah. You guys just look, take it in, take it how you assume. Yeah. And then you try something different. And then we've got lions on a zebra kill. And the way lions like to always, everyone wants to get into that food, and no one wants to miss out. And they're all trying to fight for position. I wish I had one or two more in there and get a proper circle about it. But never mind. You take what you take. And on this particular day, what was really weird about this was that even though I was shooting with 40 cars around me, I was able to shoot something so different that I'm sure none of the 40 cars came through. And this is, sorry, my mistake, but the pools, this should have come along with the shot previously. You can now see all the greens. Yeah, so I'll do it again. So we had that little volcanic pool formed up in the corner here. And here we go. I mean, this kind of lets off how I took the shots, but I'll say there's a trick up my sleeve. So there will be another trick that you have to meet and see at the end. But you know what I mean? It's every pool, the algae content is different. The green color tends to be very different. Even the one pool where you can see that the water is shared with the lake. Look, the green inside versus the green outside is still different, and it still follows through. But I don't know what the science behind this is. I'm sure there is some biology behind this, but for me, it's something that pleases my eye. I loved it. I went out there, I photographed it, and it's fulfillment of a dream. And then I just saw that comment, and it put that dream word in my head, and it's a fulfillment of a dream. It's something so beautiful, something so amazing. And honestly, sometimes words are beyond what you get to see. I mean, I've only got a few slides left, so we're coming towards the end of all this. But aerial photography always leaves me mesmerized because I run out of words to say. So I'd rather leave that towards the end than the earlier part, rather than being phased out through the rest of the lecture. But look, how do you even imagine these shapes? How do you expect them to come? You get then a couple of flamingos flying across. Yeah, again, these arteries, this water, the dark color in the drier season. Yeah, and then you try again and you get into a swampy area and you find these hippos which have been shitting the bloody part out. And then as the hippos move, they're leaving these sort of explosion looks. But this is literally hippo poo mixing up with the water and creating these shapes. And you can see the swampy, the green hyacinth or whatever it was growing in there. And it comes together. There's so many beautiful stories with nature. There's so much, you can talk about hippo farts and be good about it. You know what I mean? But then nature always has a sad side. And then you have the photo on the left-hand side, which the sad side is that the male lion had then killed and stolen a cheetah kill and also killed the cheetah's cub. I mean, this small thing here is a cheetah cub.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and that's an antelope, and it was the cheetah's kill. It's not the lion. The lion was really sick. If you look at his back up here, you can see how his bones have come. It's a really sick lion. He stole the kill out of the cheetahs, and obviously, unfortunately, the cheetahs lost a baby to it as well. But it's a story nevertheless. And then we come onto the right-hand side where we've got the migration. We've got wildebeest trying to cross through a little river, and you know what I mean. You want to be a documenter of some sort, but you want to be an artistic documenter. You just don't want to be a documenter who picks up this photo and tries to say, oh, this is what happened. Some photos you want to just let people see and make it up. And we all know lions. We all know that 20 hours of the day, this is what they do. But would you have ever thought that you could take a different viewpoint and make it interesting? I mean, sleeping lions are the most boring things to do. I'm so bored of them that when I see a sleeping lion, I'll just tell my guide, please move on. Let's go to the zebras that are awake. Yeah? What are you going to do with this lion? If he wakes up, we'll come back, but come on, let's find something else to do. But then you also need to find a way to play and view and think about lines, think about shadows in aerial photography. Here we go. We've got these 4 giraffes, shadows. We've got these 5 flamingos walking. They're leaving this line behind because as they're walking, they're shaking up the ground underneath and they're leaving these lines behind. You know what I mean? It's trying to play with so many different things, going to these shadows again. Sometimes I like to go vertically above where the giraffe looks minuscule, but then the shadow is what tells you what it is. And this is the best part. Or what happens with aerial photography is this ground could have even had steps that were feet above and stuff. But once you get onto the aerial side, it looks so flat that it was a blank canvas. And this blank canvas can only be decorated by you holding that camera. Another example of it, it's a blank canvas. I love playing with shadows. Shadows for me on aerial photography are so key, and designs of the ground and colors. It's what I love. And here we have a black rhino. We managed to get it right from above, and we've got the shadow, and the shadow was the key for me on this sort of location. Yeah, and obviously I don't think it's much of a surprise. How did I do it? And you can see the helicopter there on the left-hand side at the top. Yeah, that's how I did it. But as I said, I always have a curveball to play around. Has anyone seen one of these? It's a monopod, but it's a monopod that extends 10 meters up. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Totally. You know what I mean? I'm going to play with everyone's heads, and you think that all the shots were taken with a helicopter. No, it wasn't. No, half of it wasn't. The left-hand side. Let me go again. Let me go and pick them up. No, it wasn't taken through a helicopter. You know what I mean? There are a lot of helicopter shots there, but here we have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. None of these are helicopter shots. It's you thinking differently. Why would I take a pole that's made for, what should I say, real estate photography? I'm now trying to integrate real estate photography into wildlife photography. The guy who I bought the pole from said, you are the first person who's actually thought of using this into wildlife. Yeah. And this is engineering at my workshop. Yeah, we have some metal over here. Come and weld these small pieces for me. Half of us know engineering. Okay, Sardars, all of us, yes, we have engineering workshops around us, but we have an engineering workshop, we do fabrication, we do repairs of excavators, but I'm trying to use all these tools available to me to make something very different. Good question. I should have answered that. Do I use drones for aerial photography? No, I don't, because I don't feel the drones have the quality of a 48, 46, whatever megapixel SLR. So this is a D8, a Z7. It's super light. From this, again, I have so much control over my. I'm sure even on the drones you have amazing control, but I've got my Z7, I've got my D850, I've got my D5, and the quality or the details in the photos the drones don't bring as yet. There will be a point where drones will have those crazy details. At the moment, the drones that have the crazy details are the ones that you attach your SLR and you fly up with it. Yeah, but we haven't got there. And the worst part about drones is they give that very high pitch B-type buzz, and elephants hate it. And you put up a drone and you'll find so many lions and stuff will run away initially. It'll take them time to get used to it. But with this pole, first time I used it on animals. Yeah. We were in the middle of a sighting. First time we used it with these lions. They'd never seen what I'd done before. They did look up, some of them. Some just didn't care. Yeah. And all the guys around me were like, "Oh, what are you doing? You'll scare away the animals." And my guide was very nice enough to sort of tell everyone to shut up, watch what happens. If they scare, we'll take fault. But we put up the pole and we got these shots, and none of the lions got scared and ran away. We still got these amazing shots. Yeah. And now coming to it. I don't see anyone responding back to it, but so what makes an amazing photo? Yeah,
So
you know what
we
I mean.
have sponsors in the beginning. I just kept it at the. We'll
Okay,
take
there
it.
was a lot. There were comments in the beginning. Okay, I'll try. I'm loving this comment. The art of pooing by hippos. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Looks like Gurcharan just got disconnected. We'll wait for him to join back. Until then, please do drop in the comments, thoughts, the answer to the question: what makes an photo amazing or amazing photo?
I think one of the reasons they haven't answered, or at least tried to, is because the photographs were so mesmerizing. They didn't have time to, look away and then form a question. So
Yeah,
it was absolutely mind blowing. I'm sure all of you will agree.
yeah, very much. I mean, there was one image with the elephant with the tusk, right? That was like, woof. Imagine how that would be in person.
So sorry.
It just goes to show how you can
Yeah.
take the same photograph, the same animal, but in a different way. It's not that you're going out and taking different animals compared to what we've seen in Kenya, but the way he has taken them, bringing that totally new perspective on how to take the same thing differently is what really stands out here.
Amazing.
Guru, you're back.
Yes, sorry, I pressed the back button and it took me away from the StreamYard. So hands up. Yeah, I'm going to keep my hands here all through the rest of the session. Yeah. 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 So again, I've been asking this question and I want to make sure what makes an amazing photograph? What makes me different from who else is out there? What makes me different from these guys? And how would you try and think about this? How would you do it? And for those guys who answered composition, well done. Amazing stuff, because that is what makes the photo. That is what does it. And then for the guys who came with focus and settings and those sort of stuff, sorry. But what I would recommend to you guys is please move away from trying to worry about details and stuff. Worry about compositions. Worry about lighting is a good point. How are you going to make this photo a beautiful composition? There's many times I've gone out there and answered or done something unplanned and you get this amazing photo. And a lot of times people come out or I was doing a workshop for Nikon, and we were doing a workshop for Nikon in Dubai, and I said the same thing, saying, guys, don't worry about settings. Go there and take photos with great compositions. And there's one smart guy in the audience, and he turned up and he goes to me, hey, Gooch, if that's what you're saying, why do we need to buy these expensive cameras? Why don't we just buy these cheap, the entry-level SLRs or point-and-shoots? Why do we need to buy these expensive cameras?
I think Nikon got started with that.
And as I looked up the audience and went through the whole audience to see if everyone else got the question, right at the back of the crowd was the Nikon guy who was busy working with his laptop all through the session. And he stopped working on his laptop and he looks up at me waiting for the answer to this question. And I was like, oh my God, I've dug myself into a hole, haven't I? Yeah, and here we are. The hole's been dug, and how am I going to get myself out of it? And the reality of the fact is that the response to the question was that, guys, yes, but you go and make a mistake with an entry-level SLR, it won't forgive you. But when you go out there and you buy a D5 and a D6, it has so many available calculations, sensors, whatever it does, that wizardry it does behind the scene that I have no idea about. It will save you. It will still get you a shot. Maybe it might be a bit dark, maybe it might be too bright, but when you put them into Lightroom and you start working on it, it will give you something you can rescue. And that for sure is what I believe is why I buy all these sort of expensive cameras. And to be honest with you, that is the end of the slideshow, and we can sort of go to questions. And I wanted to add on to the fact that no cameras were definitely hurt in the making of this. Yeah.
That's a good one. Not, no,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't do it. I need to share the screen because the screen disappeared. Yeah, and I need to put that out there so everyone can see.
I really don't want to miss that. Yep.
yeah, put it up, put it up. Oh, yes. No camera.
Yeah, definitely no cameras were hurt. And obviously my social media's out there. So if any of you do want to follow me and see my work, and what you'll find is I think Instagram for me is number one of where the new stuff comes out. Facebook, okay-ish. Website obviously gets updated once in a while. It's not updated regularly, but Instagram for sure is the best place to catch me. You can message me over Instagram. I think Instagram is probably the best way to catch me. Yeah, and please do be mindful that this is a hobby for me. I'm not always able to message. So if I don't message in the middle of the day, I might message in the evening. Yeah. So please be patient with your replies. Yeah. Or with expecting my replies. Yeah. And God, I can see there was so many messages come through. Thank you so much, guys. So if you have any questions, or if you guys as the presenters want to pick up some of the questions that you've noted were interesting or worth asking, I'd love that. Thank you very much.
Yep, there's one from Madhusudan S. Says, great show, Coach. Have you tried the night hide in Africa?
Absolutely. I have done the night hide at the waterhole. I did. If you go onto my Instagram, there's a very recent shot posted of a striped hyena, actually. Yeah, a very nocturnal animal, nighttime. There's a striped hyena photo out there. Yeah, and you saw Subi earlier on, who I didn't have a little message with. And Subi is joining me on a night hide and a helicopter trip in Kenya around November. So fingers crossed with lockdowns and things like that. So that will be, yes, night hides are available, and yes, we have. And other than the fact that I spent the day photographing on the helicopter and the night photographing in the hide, and 3 days later came home to catch up on a lot of sleep, and then a week later still needed to catch up on sleep. Yeah.
Let's wait for him to come back. Yep, so I have posted the Gurcharan's handle on the comments. So click on it, hit the follow button. Also, go to the 3 dots and turn all the notifications. So the moment he puts up a story or a post, immediately you'll get notified.
Sorry, that's me being again very active with my mouse. I'm going to move away from my mouse completely, and hands here again. I apologize again. Yeah. Thank you. You've seen the hyena shot. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there are lots of questions.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah. Let's bring them in. Wonderful perspective and angle of view. So different. Yeah, exactly. It's all composition perspective. It's looking at things or trying to. You see, what I have against me is I live in Kenya, and I have that with me for sure. Being in Kenya is amazing, but being against me is also in Kenya, which is probably one of the most photographed countries. Yeah, there's so many wildlife photographers who come to Kenya. I think it's probably destination number 1 for wildlife photography in the world, between Kenya and South Africa. So these two places, yes, they have that for me, and they have that against me at the same time. So what I recognized a long time ago is that every wildlife photographer, and that's the question you guys asked to start off with, is that we see you only have up to 400. Where's your 500? Where's your 600? Where's your 800? And I found that every wildlife photographer has that shot of 500, 600, 800, that. And I found that saying, okay, how do I make it different? How am I going to make myself a different wildlife photographer? Because photographer A, photographer B, photographer C, photographer D, photographer E, photographer passing AA, AZ, ZZ has done that. How do I make myself different? And for me, it was always about now, I think everyone is trying to go far and approach with a telephoto. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go close and approach with a wide angle. That's what I did differently. And it took me a lot of time to try and get to where I was, because initially, yes, it was a telephoto. It was about getting as close as possible from as far as possible. But I get to these scenes these days where there's a leopard on a tree and the leopard is like so far away on the tree. And my guide would be like, "Good, leopard on a tree." I was like, "Yeah, so what? Move on." And yeah, what are you going to photograph? Yeah, move on. Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, please don't forget that if you've got a nice horizon shot, the leopard coming down the tree might make a beautiful shot. Yeah, think differently. There's so much out there, and should I say, the animal is going to do what it's going to do, and there's nothing you can do to change that. But you can change what you photograph, and it's all about what you photograph that people see and what you show. So it's down to you what you want yourself to be perceived. You want to be perceived as the guy who tries to take telephotos and is always doing that sort of shot. Yes, do it, because that's what you enjoy. I mean, I started off with that and I went on to the next phase of it, trying to go lower. And then the monopod was born for me. And then I wanted to try and go lower and closer. And then the gadgets were born for me. And then I did so much of it that now I wanted to try a different viewpoint. And then the helicopter came into place. So, everything has, for me, it's not a revolution, it's an evolution. You try something, you do it for a long time, you get tired of it. I mean, we take photos of our family members. And if you take the same photos for the same family members the same time, how many times will they enjoy it? They'll enjoy it the first time. They might enjoy it the second time. The third time you go and do it, I have the same photo. It's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, we're all right today. And then you go and you try something with different light. You put a flash on the side rather than face on. You know what I mean? You're constantly trying to
change.
Evolution, different, trying to be the same shot, the same person. You mean, there's a zebra, there's a lion. Yes, people now have understood that there's lion Scar, there's lion Grimace, there's lion so and so, and I want to get a shot of him. But when I was doing that, what I really felt and I realized is that I'm not looking at the factor of composition or something. Wow, I'm ending up with, I'm taking this shot because it's lion so and so. I'm documenting this lion. And once you have 500 shots documenting that lion, what do you do next? How many times could you post a yawn shot from lion A, from lion B, from lion C, from lion D? You'll soon be known as the yawn photographer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So how do you keep that thing going? And for me, I think the biggest thing is I get bored that quickly. And if I don't keep doing something different, don't keep doing something interesting, don't keep doing something that is making me think, I'm bored. And that's what we have to do, is constantly trying to do something different. For me, trying to do something different. And that's what the drive is, trying to pick up something. Yeah.
And
so I see more questions. I see questions after questions. Yeah.
And the long monopod is one of the best example, the way you thought that why not to use a long monopod and get that perspective.
Exactly. It works so well. Whereas before I used to try and get a helicopter over everything. And then the bank balance went, yeah. Then you take a monopod, and then the monopod comes and does something different that you don't need that bank balance. You carry on with your car and you do it with your little car. You're happy with that. As long as you've got a hole in the roof, stick it out through that hole in the roof and you're sorted. Yeah. So it is. And a lot of hot air balloon. Have I ever tried it? Yes, I do. But it's very limited because the hot air balloon only travels in a straight line. And if the animal is not in that straight line, you're not going to get that shot. So I would prefer a helicopter 100 times over a hot air balloon. The beauty about the hot air balloon is the enjoyment factor, where you're up there and it's silent. There's no sound whatsoever. You can still hear all the sounds of the animals from the ground. So for sure, a hot air balloon is really amazing at that sort of stuff. But don't be fooled. It still travels quite fast. You put 1/200th of a second and photograph this zebra, and you'll find that everything will be out of focus. And another issue with hot air balloons is that they start off at the crack of dawn. So your shutter speed has to be low and your ISO has to be very high. And that comparison messes up a lot of things. So you need to be a bit more experienced about hot air balloon photography. They do, you don't feel they move fast, but trust me, they are fast. Yeah. And unless you get a day where there's no wind, and then even the pilot will say to you, okay, we're just going to land here. Don't worry, we're not going far today. Yeah. So you've got the plus and minus with everything. You know, helicopters, the fact is that they're noisy. The positive is that it's such an adrenaline charge. It's bloody amazing. Yeah. It's a proper adrenaline charge. You'll come out from a helicopter, and the bad other news is that the beard is yeah.
The way you go in and the way you come out.
There's two different people, yeah. Because you might not get recognized on your return. Yeah.
No, there is a goal at the end of that hot air balloon rainbow, and that is the champagne. Right?
You could say that, yeah. You could say that, but I don't drink alcohol, so it's not. Should I say it's not a rainbow for me? Yeah. Another thing with helicopters is air sickness. That is a big thing. You know, I've flown with people, and you're shooting, and all you're hearing within the intercom is you know, because the camera is here and the mic is just next to the camera, so all you're hearing is shutters and sick sounds. Disgusting but amazing at the same time. Yeah.
How do you hang out with the helicopter? I mean, are you strapped in?
Yes, we are strapped in, and we also take the doors off, so there's nothing blocking your shooting. Yeah, and the best part about a helicopter is if there's something that you liked, you saw a lion, you saw a zebra, and you wanted that composition, all you say is, round 2, please. And you didn't get the shot, round 3, please. Yeah. So the pilot, a good friend of mine called Peter, and we've even named him Helico Peter now. Yeah. So we're Helico again. Yeah, come on, another round, please. Yeah. Until he says, "Good, you've run out of time. Are you willing to pay me more money?" Okay, no, let's go back. Yeah.
Okay, there was one question. Sarma YPS is asking, did you photograph
No,
India?
I've never ever photographed Indian wildlife. So maybe one day. My biggest worry is that obviously I've spent so much time in Kenya and I know all the tricks and how to do this. And in India, I'll come to just be the common photographer. Maybe I'll come with an 800 and a 600 and do. But I have seen some great photographers out there. I do follow a lot of you guys from India. I'm not going to give any names out at the moment, but one of you will inspire me to come into and do it, and fingers crossed. Yeah, so fingers crossed one day, yeah.
Yeah, this question has not been answered yet. Any guru for you or all by yourself? Have you had a guru?
I've not really had a guru. Just give me 1 second, yeah? Sorry, I could hear my son in the background. Yeah, busy on his games. Yeah, yeah. So sorry. Have I guru for me? I've had inspiration from people like Marcel, inspiration from people like Chad Cocking, a lot of South African photographers. But what I find is that no matter how much inspiration you pick up from these people, the person who has to go and photograph is you. And you have to make that decision. And you have to be the guy to understand that scene to photograph at that point. Yeah, that's how it'll have to work. You can see these guys and you can see their amazing shots, but that's his amazing shot. You can see it, you can think about it, but how does that come up? If he's gone and shot this amazing lion shot, am I going to get that same amazing lion shot? Chances are it'll never happen again. That lion's probably never going to do the same thing again. Yeah, so it's nice to go out there and have a look at all these sort of photos that other photographers put up and come up with your own ideas from these photos. You know, it's nice to see what everyone else is doing, but you do your own thing at the end of the day. So yes, there has been a lot of inspirational guys out there. There have been guys I've looked at for gear. Russ Wild, his Instagram handle, he's been a big inspiration. When I'm stuck, I go up to him and say, "Hey, Russ, I'm stuck with this. What's your thoughts on it?" He won't obviously answer my question very directly, but he'll drop me that little breadcrumb and send me off in that direction. And those sort of guys I respect. They are masters of their field. They do documentaries, but they'll always share you a little bit, saying, "Gooch, this is what we do. Why don't you try something in this direction? Why don't you try something in that direction? Oh, this is a company that we use that does this for us." And then you go there and you look at the prices of their gear and you're like, really? $6,000 for just that? No, it's okay. I'll try and find another way around it. But at least you've got an idea or something that happens and somewhere that it goes and you make it work. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Favorite place? Wow. Again, I think it moves, and when you try and shoot in one place for so long, you get tired of it. Mara was a big favorite. Mara has been so photographed that it's very hard to find something different, but I still go to Mara. I still love it. It's still the most amazing place on earth. And slowly by slowly, you keep trying all these different places. And I had a plan to go into this new conservancy that I was trying, and what we're going to try and do was night photography there. Lockdown has brought some challenges. Saying that, we did night photography at this place in Naivasha. I don't know if you've seen that shot on my Instagram with the hyena with rim light and then the smoke coming out. I mean, that was a trip and a half. We went, we were out on a sundowner, and we got a call from the ranger saying the hyenas are chasing down a wildebeest. Please come. Oh, you guys want to see that? So we went running across to the hyenas. By the time we got there, they'd already put down the wildebeest and the light had dropped. So thankfully enough, the guys were pretty set up. So we moved all the photographers into one car. And then the opposite side, the car went across to the back, and they put these lights from the back. And it was so cold that from the wildebeest body, the steam was rising. So we had this steam in the background, rim light at the back, and these hyenas just busy at it. And we were trying to obviously wait for a hyena to lift its head so you could get that shot with all that. So it was gruesome, but so beautiful at the same time. And I'm glad it was dark, because we couldn't really see what the hyenas were doing. We were just able to work out with light, and then we said a little bit of side light, a little bit of backlight, and we tried all sorts of different things. Yeah.
That's the nice thing about conservancies, right? You can go out whenever you want, night driving, early in the morning. You can decide when you want to go and when you want to come back. So that's great about it.
The flexibility in a conservancy is amazing. And what you find in conservancies is also that the guys or the guides who are there all the time begin to even understand the individuals who like to hang around to the conservancy. So they'll come to this elephant. Oh, Gooch, this elephant is so relaxed. We can go close. Oh, this elephant is, no. We're not going anywhere near. Same thing with parks and same thing with these guides. But the conservancy, when I go into Solio and I'm photographing in Solio with the rhinos, the guide will tell me, Gooch, this rhino, we're not coming out of the vehicle, but there'll be another group of rhinos. He goes, Gooch, you want to go there and sit in the middle of these rhinos? I don't mind. They're that calm. You know what I mean? He understands the animals. Obviously, there's always going to be a risk factor. You have to be very cautious about it. But at the same time, if you don't take a risk, you don't get the shot. But please, we don't want to calculate your risk so you're not injuring an animal or the animal injuring you. The question up on the screen is, do I conduct photography tours? Yes, I do. Because I work, so my photography tours will be weekends or over Christmas or holiday season. So if you want to do something, do have a plan. If you want to just go up on a helicopter, we can do that anytime, because to the lake that you've been seeing 95% of the aerial photos from Lake Magadi, that's simply a 20-minute helicopter flight from here. So we just need 2 hours on the helicopter. You leave from the helipad. in 2 hours, you land back, and trust me, you'll have 1,000+ shots. Yeah, so that one's a good place to do it.
And for the helicopter, your shutter speed, I saw they're all 1/1000th of a second.
I'm always going higher because of the vibration of the helicopter. I try not to even use a 400mm on the helicopter, because as soon as the lens comes out of the door, the wind from the blades will just keep pushing it down. So you're no longer taking photographs, you're trying to fight with the lens. Yeah, so I'm using something smaller. Yes, a high shutter speed is very, very critical on the helicopter, because the vibrations, you're flying at 200 kilometers per hour. Yes, you can slow down at particular points, but yeah, it's shaky, it's crazy, it's fun, it's adrenaline. Yeah, there's so much to it. So, trying to hold the camera still on a helicopter is never going to happen. So better you just shoot with a higher shutter speed. Yeah,
I guess one needs a good practice.
Yes, practice is key for sure. Yeah. But saying that, the shots with the one that my son took, that was our first trip ever. The shot with the algae that we're using for the advertisement of the thing, that was my first trip ever. Those are my first flamingo shots, aerial shots ever. Yeah.
Nice.
That's encouraging. Yeah.
We'll take.
We've pushed along. It's been. Sorry, go on.
We'll take last question and we'll come to end of session.
Sure.
There was, where in Kenya?
Where would you see leopards? Wow, I think Mara would probably be the place. Yeah, Mara has probably a very high population of leopards, but being somewhere where there are leopards and seeing leopards is two different stories. Yeah, we all know that. We're all wildlife photographers. Yeah, you can be anywhere you want for leopards. There's always a leopard around, but if you get to see it, is the leopard's choice, not yours. Yeah. So I've done trips to Mara over December. I've done a 12, 14 night trip, come out with 16 leopard sightings. So it's not bad, but how many shots are you going to get from those sightings? God knows, so it's a hit and a miss. That's the best part about, as I was telling you, in Mara, you fall out of bed and you fall into a lion. There's so many lions in the Mara. So the best thing to do with Mara is focus on leopards. Lions will keep coming in the way. Don't worry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. Thank you to everyone who's attended from Kenya, UK, Poland. I saw some messages from Australia as well. So wherever you guys have attended from, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks for all the messages. I won't be able to respond to each one, but by all means, please feel free to message, and I'll try and respond to you as soon as I can. And thank you very much for all your questions, and appreciate it. And thank you to YPS for bringing me online, and obviously Ajit and Hardik for bringing us here, and definitely for those. Yeah, we got to see them. Yeah, better than the photos, I believe. Yeah.
Sure. So thank you. Before we close the session, here's one comment which I would like to bring it up on the screen. Yep. Same here. Even I'm going to follow in reality than in social media.
Sorry, there's one thing that I'm not great at, and it's video. I'm pathetic at video. I'm pathetic at doing live Instagram sessions. Yeah, so usually you find I'm not the guy who's running the session. I'm one of the presenters in the session. So I will try. The stories are not as much. How can I put it? Social media is beautiful, but social media can kill a lot of time and take you away from the real thing, which is obviously getting your shots. So I bring my shots to share. Yes, I do respond to the shots, but I am mindful that I've seen a lot of people where social media gets here, and then it becomes so blown up that it's all about numbers. How many likes did I get? How many followers do I have? It's nice to have lots of likes. It's beautiful to have lots of followers, but don't forget the art. And I'm trying to keep my focus on making sure the art is coming. and let the art come, because the followers and the likes will follow based on that. You can become so full of yourself that no longer will you pulling on the quality that you're bringing in. You're now pulling on repeats and re-edits and things like that. But we all do that. We all have fun. Enjoy it. Yes, social media is a place where you can show off your stuff, but don't forget, the key to photography is being out there in the field and getting the shots and enjoying nature. And when you connect with nature, the rest will automatically happen.
Perfect.
Great advice. Great ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Super.
Wow, that was really wonderful. Thank you once again, Gurcharan, coming to YPS and showing us some wonderful images. I'm really moved.
Thank you very much.
What really moved was that the one with the tusker, I like seeing the image here is like this. Imagine how it would be in the field. You take a
Very
shot.
very different, but very beautiful at the same time. Yeah.
Guru, just tell you here that Hardik is not a wildlife photographer. So for him to be moved so much and repeatedly talking about that elephant means that you now converted him, I think, slightly. Got into his head now.
Well, we were pulling a lot of people across to this wildlife field. I mean, when I started off in Kenya, it was always a field for international photographers. And for me, it was like, I know we are pulling on and we're digressing further. For me, it was a field where all the great photographers who are known in wildlife photography were always international. They were always European. They were always American. And I came across to the Kenyan situation or the wildlife scene in Kenya, and I was like, the wildlife is ours. The land is ours. The location is round the corner. Why are these guys being better than us? We need to pull our game up and make ourselves better. And that's, I didn't want to come into and compete with these Kenyan photographers on the Kenyan scene because they kept on looking up at international photographers. I want to be the guy here who is setting the benchmark, and I want to push to setting that benchmark.
You've done that.
Not expecting somebody else to set the benchmark and for me to try and catch up to it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And if that is any advice to all you Indian photographers out there, you have the wildlife, you have the tigers, you have the black leopard. We have as well, by the way, now. Yeah. But you set your benchmarks and make it work for you guys. You know what I mean?
So this presentation, it is now to all the viewers and me and all the wildlife photographers out there. Now it's time to think a little beyond. You have shown, like, if you want to make something different, go high or go very low. Don't be in between.
Yeah.
Now these two things, the going up and going below, is done by Gurcharan. So far, it is us to think out of the box and inspire other photographers in a different way. This is like a step ahead. So this has been done. You thought about making something different, and we have already seen it's wonderful. Now it's up to us, like, okay, how do we take this to a next level and inspire others with our work? So it's a really wonderful, I can say.
The going high is, now you will have so many photographers in Ranthambore and other places with all these long monopods, and they'll be fighting. It will be like that.
I hope they don't, make it.
Yeah. Soon you'll be driving along and you'll be bouncing over cameras, because there's cameras all over the floor.
It'll be like these ancient knights, on their horseback. The other guy on his horse.
Obviously, I believe that your controls of wildlife don't allow you to do that, or the rangers don't allow you to do that. Whereas, obviously, within the main Mara, I'm not allowed to do it as well. But when I go to a conservancy, I speak to the guys up front saying, look, this is what I'm bringing with me. This is what I want to do out there. Are you guys okay with it? When they say yes, then I book and go. When they say no, I say, fine, I'm going elsewhere. You know what I mean? But what's happening in the nice part is that there's a lot of conservancies, there's a lot of groups like All Pajeta who have asked me to be an ambassador on their events, who've asked me to come there and get them something different. Yeah, and we're always in talks with them. So that also is a big help. I mean, Nikon for sure is a big big one for me, because not only do they give me pre-production gear to test, where I know sometimes it's not media-fied to know that Gurcharan was testing this. The D6 that I got was serial number 00001. I mean, when do you get that? Yeah, that D6, the video that we did was literally, I think, one of the first cameras that was being sent out saying, Guch, just give us some content creation. We want some content with it. And I'll give in the camera, go to Nairobi National Park. Or at that time we were in lockdown, so we couldn't get content from Mara or somebody else, and given to me. And then Nikon take it back. And, it's like they show you the carrot and say, hey, now it's gone. So you have to buy it. You know what I mean? I think that's the major trick. Yeah. So hence why the D6 is here. But
But
for
that's
them
really
to
high praise
yeah,
coming from a company
for
like
them to
that.
trust me and give me this equipment, and for me to put it into all that sort of shit and dirty it and then give it back, they have to trust me to some extent. But at the same time, they are pleased with the content that's coming out of it, and I think that's key for them, because for them it's all about getting content and showing what their cameras are capable of. And you've seen all the stuff I've put my cameras through, and not till today have I had a single failure or a single issue with any of the cameras that Nikon, I need to do something. Yeah, if I drop the camera and break the screen, that is down to me. But it's never come to me in any other way. I mean, I'm blown away with them, and I love the factor that I've not hurt any cameras along with animals. I should have said the animals first, but we love our cameras too.
Yeah, it's sad that the presentation has ended and we'll have to end the session, but we'll stay in touch. And thank you once again so much for the wonderful session out there.
Thank you.
And
thank you to you guys too.
Yeah. So probably once things settle down, we would want to make a trip there. I don't know if I'll be coming there with the camera or not, but I would like to enjoy with you for sure.
Definitely. That'd be beautiful. I'd love that. I'd really love that.
So thank you, Gurcharan. So before we end the session, I'll just go a round of announcement and then we'll come to the end.
Sure.
So as I mentioned at the beginning that this is our Golden Jubilee year, and we are coming up with 39th edition of YPS All India Salon, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be different. It's going to be totally different from the other salons. So stay tuned for more details. If you wish to become a member, all you need to do is scan the QR code here on the screen, or else just visit our website, ypsbengaluru.com, and click on Become a Member. Also, I would like to urge everyone, do not forget to hit the like and share button, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Go and click that button. It really helps. And do put in a comment on our post. It helps, the content to push to more people. And last but not the least, I'll be putting up Gurcharan's website here on the comment. So do check it out after this session. The reason why I'm stressing on this is there are a few videos on his website, and they are really good. They are really wonderful. The D6, what we just saw in the beginning, it's there, and along with that, there are a couple of more also, and they're really nice. And Gurcharan, I would like to see personally more such content. It really moves, it's done well. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gurcharan, and thank you all our viewers staying up till here. And stay safe, stay home. We are not out of this COVID. We are seeing a huge rise, and there's a time we need to really think about taking care, taking all the necessary safety precautions. And as Dr. Ajit mentioned in the beginning, vaccination, yes, do go ahead and get vaccinated. It's for benefit of everyone. And the next week, YPS Meet Live session, we'll be putting up the details soon on the website, so stay tuned. It'll be happening on the same platform, YouTube and Facebook, at 5:30 p.m. IST. Until then, stay safe and see you all soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.